Naruto leaving the village instead sees an odd increase in power for our hero turned antagonist, and now he possesses not only Kurama but a fully awakened curse mark that he can place on top of it. With the help of Orochimaru, his growth will only increase. Will Sasuke, left with nothing but his Sharingan, be able to catch up? I suppose that's up to him and Jiraiya right now, but the power increase isn't the only odd thing. Switching the places of the ever-hopeful Naruto with the hatred-consumed Sasuke is set to change a lot of things, and now that we're about to enter the Shippuden era, a lot of things will be coming to a head. How will our hero Sasuke handle this? Will he manage to push through and save his friend, or will he end up joining him on the road to darkness? I suppose we'll just have to wait and see. Welcome to the Amagi. Before we begin, only 25% of our viewers are subscribed, so if you're a fan of the video, please like and double check if you are subscribed. And with that out of the way, let's get into the video. Sasuke had been training quite a bit with Jiraiya. The course of this training saw Sasuke focusing on something that would hopefully give him somewhat equal footing against Naruto, that being Sage Chakra and Sage Mode. Sasuke had been taught the basics by Jiraiya as well as the other sages that Jiraiya was in cooperation with. Jiraiya seemed eager to teach Sasuke everything he could, believing that Sasuke could go farther than Jiraiya ever planned to. "I wonder if you could be the child of prophecy that old Toad Sage was talking about," he said to Sasuke as the last night of their training came to a close. On the morrow, they would both rise up and make their way back to Konoha, where Sasuke would begin his search for Naruto. But for this last night, they were simply spending time talking and enjoying each other's company. To be frank with you here, Sasuke had enjoyed his time with Jiraiya a lot more than he would normally admit to. The thing was, Sasuke had spent many years alone, without family, constantly looking over his shoulder, dreaming of a day where justice would be brought for his clan's destruction. But that didn't mean that on various nights that Sasuke didn't think back to moments when he had his mother and father with him, constantly trying to measure up and impress his father, only to be doted on by his mother. Jiraiya had filled these spots for him. Sasuke had been brought back to Jiraiya's house for training, to share meals with the man he would call mentor, and to hear his snoring echoing through the house as Sasuke struggled to sleep. It felt like family again, and Sasuke's heart had begun to heal. The wounds remained, but his demeanor seemed a little more upbeat. As they sat on the back porch after supper, Sasuke would look out to the trees as crickets serenade them with their orchestra of chirps. Jiraiya had loaded up a pipe and was currently smoking its contents to help him wind down for the night. Jiraiya himself had enjoyed training and spending time with Sasuke. Despite being a loner, more than pleased spending his life alone as much as he enjoyed spending a night with a beautiful woman, but something about having Sasuke there made him feel more content, less lonely. Jiraiya had poured every ounce of knowledge and wisdom he had into Sasuke's mind. Part of that was out of duty, the other part out of guilt. Jiraiya had previously been named as Naruto's godfather by Minato and Kushina, and when Naruto needed him most, Jiraiya was not there. Now, Naruto's path had led him to darkness. Looking at Sasuke, seeing how he felt having him there, Jiraiya began to wonder if he shouldn't have just bit the bullet and adopted Naruto. He hadn't, and that didn't sit well with him. Now, Naruto was a traitor to the village, and the Nine-Tails was lost. Danzo was fuming and trying to find Naruto as quickly as possible. War was on its way, and unless Konoha got its Jinchuriki back, everyone would suffer. Jiraiya was drowning in shame for his lack of action, but that was why he trained Sasuke as he had. He believed Sasuke had the potential to be a greater shinobi than he, and wanted to help Sasuke realize his true potential in hopes that doing so would somehow allow Jiraiya to make up for his failures. "You're a brilliant student, Sasuke, but I have nothing left to teach you. Everything that makes me the shinobi I am, I've given to you. You match and surpass me in every way." Sasuke looked up. In the past, Sasuke would have been so conceited as to agree with this, but not now. Not after the bonding he had done with Jiraiya. There was respect now. "No, master, you've taught me ninjutsu and how and when to use them, but the wisdom in your mind surpasses me by decades. I can only hope to be as wise as you one day." Jiraiya smiled. "Your wisdom is greater than you think, Sasuke. Your humbleness of heart and humility has proven as much to me." Jiraiya stepped back inside where he grabbed a box. "I've been working on something, a special gift for you." He presented Sasuke with the box. Sasuke took it and opened it. Within the box was a haori not too unlike Jiraiya's. Sasuke stood and unfolded it to look it over. It was long, coming to the back of Sasuke's knees. It was black with what appeared to be a dark gray flame pattern at the bottom, a reference to Sasuke's Amaterasu, no doubt. On the back, perfectly centered between the shoulder blades, was the crest of the Uchiha, signifying both Sasuke's past as well as his present. "Master, this is beautiful. You didn't have to do this for me," Sasuke stated with a subtle smile on his face. Jiraiya smiled as well. "I know, but you've basically become family to me. I wanted to remind you of the love you have, of the family who loved you before and the family who loves you now. But that's not the only thing." Sasuke watched with curiosity as Jiraiya disappeared back inside of his home. Within, he grabbed something and pulled it out. It was a rather large scroll, not unlike the one on Jiraiya's back. "This scroll possesses many utilities, things you can seal into it. It also possesses a copy of the summoning contract you have with the Toads. Open it up and look. It contains something else, too." Sasuke opened it up. There was a handwritten letter in there from Jiraiya himself. "Dear Sasuke, when I first began to train you, I did so out of obligation. But you've become so much more to me than just a regular student. You've become family. And because of that, I've taken it upon myself to name you as my godson. From henceforth and forevermore, you and I will be family. I love you, Sasuke. Jiraiya." Sasuke read this, and despite his mental fortitude, was brought to tears. Big, visible tears. Jiraiya hugged him. "Sasuke, you're more than a student to me, and more than just a friend. In the past 2.5 years we've spent together, you've become like family, so I wanted to make it official." He stroked the back of Sasuke's head as the boy could do no more than cry due to how touched he was in heart. "This also means that Naruto is officially your god brother. Let that put a fire in your belly in regards to finding and rescuing him from himself." "I will, Jiraiya-sensei, I promise." After that, the two headed back inside for some rest. The next day, they woke up bright and early and began to make their way back to Konoha, where they were set to meet up with Sakura and Kakashi. Once they returned to the village, Sasuke managed to meet up with Sakura. She ran to him and hugged him before placing a kiss on his lips. Pulling back, she spoke. "I've missed you so much, Sasuke." He hugged her tightly. "I've missed you too, Sakura. And now that I'm back, we can finally stop relying on letters to tell each other how we feel." Kakashi was there, watching, sort of not caring about the relationship, though he did mention it was nice to see Sasuke return. For old time's sake, he would do the bell test with Sasuke and Sakura, only to be blitzed by them, both of whom had grown in their own ways. After a tearful goodbye from his masters, Sasuke and his team would settle back in with each other. They didn't get much time to catch their breaths, as immediately a mission came in from Danzo. The mission was that the Kazekage was missing, and it was up to Team 7 to find him. Now, for this mission, Danzo had ulterior motives. This wasn't out of the goodness of his heart. No, he planned for Team 7 to rescue Gaara only to take his tailed beast for themselves. This was a mission that didn't sit quite right with Kakashi, but given that it was an official order coming down from the Hokage, he had no choice but to follow through. They began to make their way to the Land of Wind. Secret assassination of a rival village's Kage? Doesn't that seem more like a mission for the Anbu instead of regular shinobi? Sasuke asked. "It's likely that use of the Anbu would raise red flags," Kakashi replied. "This is better." "Are you sure about that?" Sakura asked. Kakashi sighed. "I dislike this mission as much as you two, but it's still our orders. We either complete the mission or we don't. Those are our only options. And what we do will change our reception when we return. If we refuse the mission, at best we'll be met with disappointment, and at worst..." Kakashi trailed off. "This is just a bridge we'll have to cross when we come to it." Making it to Suna, they found that Kankuro, the brother of Gaara, had been poisoned and wounded. Sakura, being a medical nin, tried to help him, but her expertise was not good enough, and this would lead to the eventual death of Kankuro. Temari, however, would still wish to save Gaara, and against her better judgment, she decided to trust Team 7. She would, however, send Chiyo with them to ensure that the team didn't act in a way that would harm Suna. Kakashi worried that he'd have to kill this woman if it came down to it. They began to search for Gaara in his last known location. As they did, however, they were met with two Akatsuki members, Kisame Hoshigaki and Itachi Uchiha. Sasuke's eyes widened as he saw his brother for the first time in years. His eyes then narrowed. Itachi looked to Sasuke. "Ah, is today perhaps the day you and I settle our score?" Sasuke began to circle around Itachi. He looked back to Team 7. "You guys go ahead. I'll deal with these two. Find Gaara and complete the mission." Kakashi and Sakura ran on. Kisame prepared to stop them when Itachi held out his hand. "Let them go. We have a bigger fish to fry." Itachi smiled as he looked at his little brother. "Well, little brother, shall we measure our vessels against each other?" Kakashi and Sakura, together with Chiyo, would continue to search for Gaara. Eventually, their search would lead them to a particular cave. It was covered by a barrier, but with a little work, they managed to break through. Once inside, they saw that Gaara was already dead, with Sasori and Deidara sitting atop the body, apparently waiting for the arrival of Team 7. This would lead to a fight between Sakura and Chiyo against Sasori and a fight between Deidara and Kakashi, the latter of which resulted in Kakashi taking back the body of Gaara. However, as the battle raged on between Sakura, Chiyo, and Sasori, it became obvious that Sakura was falling behind. It's important for everyone watching to realize the reason why she failed to save Kankuro, and the reason why she's struggling now is because she never had the chance to train with Tsunade, which means her medical knowledge is far less than it would have been if she had trained with her. As for her physical prowess, she would not have the strength of 100 seal at this time, nor the monstrous strength she normally would have, as both were something gained by training with Tsunade. So, for the most part, she would need to rely upon Chiyo in this battle, as Sakura doesn't seem to have the ability to really go up against him. Chiyo, for the most part, is actually having issues, particularly when Sasori reveals his true form, in that he has made himself into a living puppet, which leads him to be able to control more than just 10 puppets at a time. In fact, he dectuples it. Despite this, though, Chiyo manages to get a bit of the upper hand. Despite having changed out his body for a puppet, the one thing he couldn't change was his heart, and that happens to be where all of his weaknesses originate from. Chiyo, being his grandmother, makes things hard, but the fact that Chiyo, towards the end of the battle, when she has no other options, breaks out the father and mother puppets can only assume that Sasori pretty much gives in. His heart too weak to continue, he's defeated by subtly letting them win. Before his death, however, he mentions something about a meeting between himself and someone on the inside that can lead them to Orochimaru, catching the attention of Sakura. He would explain that Orochimaru was attempting to make peace with the Akatsuki by offering to them the Nine Tails. Hearing this, Sakura knows that Naruto's life is in danger. Kakashi manages to recover the body of Gaara as well. Elsewhere, Sasuke is facing off against Itachi and Kisame, where he finally reveals his Mangekyo Sharingan. Itachi sees it, is surprised, and then smiles. "I see. So you now have the same eyes as me. Then perhaps it's best for you to face me in battle. The real me." Suddenly, Itachi and Kisame reveal themselves to have been clones this entire time. Sasuke realizes that he's been tricked and rushes to the cave where Team 7 is, afraid that being separated from them has led to their demise. Once inside though, he sees them all alive and well, waving to him. Gaara, however, is dead, which makes Sasuke wonder if their mission was accomplished. Chiyo is still alive, which makes Sasuke wonder more. Perhaps Kakashi was subtle enough to hide the fact that he took the tailed beast. Not long after this though, Chiyo would decide to use her one zone life technique to bring Gaara back to life at the expense of her own, which then caused the name to make sense to Sasuke. As Gaara came back, Sasuke took up a subtle yet defensive stance, though Kakashi signaled for him to play it cool. They'd return to Suna with Gaara before making their way back to Konoha. On their way back, Sasuke asks Kakashi if he managed to take Gaara's tailed beast. Kakashi shakes his head. "No, we weren't able to, for better or worse. Someone else already took it from him, so basically what we did boiled down to a good deed." Sakura let out a sigh of contentment. "To be honest, I didn't really feel right about assassinating Gaara anyway, so it's a relief." She did, however, inform them about what Sasori had said about Orochimaru. This caught Sasuke's attention as he knew that he had to find Naruto, and this was the best chance they had to do so. Returning to Konoha, Kakashi and the others went in for debriefing. Indeed, Danzo was disturbed by their failure to capture the One Tail, but there wasn't much blame he could put on them for this. That being said, Sasuke, Sakura, and Kakashi all made a decision not to tell Danzo about the information regarding Naruto. They knew that if they did, he would likely send assassins to kill him. They needed to convince Naruto to return to Konoha on his own, and they needed to have Naruto use some bargaining chip that would allow him to outweigh his betrayal to the Leaf. That likely would be the death of Orochimaru. And considering how power-hungry Kakashi knew Danzo to be, it would also help them seal the deal for them to tell Danzo where to find the laboratories Orochimaru left behind. But when the time had come, they all took some time to rest and immediately left the village to go find Naruto. Making their way to the Tenchi Bridge, Kakashi would disguise himself as Sasori and wait for Orochimaru to appear. As he did, Kakashi attempted to emulate the voice of Sasori, asking where the Nine Tails was. Orochimaru would tell him that he was at his base of operations and would be easy for him to sedate. Kakashi, in the form of Sasori, would begin to follow Orochimaru, with Sasuke and Sakura not far behind. Once they got to the base, Kakashi would spring the trap, having Sasuke and Sakura surround them while he himself caught Orochimaru off guard. Sasuke attempted to put an end to Orochimaru, but Orochimaru would dodge out of the way, allowing Kabuto instead to be killed. Orochimaru would set the base to self-destruct, forcing Sasuke, Sakura, and Kakashi to retreat. Orochimaru and Naruto would manage to get out. Before they could escape though, Sasuke called out to him, "Naruto!" Naruto stopped and looked back to see Sasuke standing there. Sasuke then spoke, "You have to come with us. Orochimaru is using you." Naruto shakes his head. "No, he's protecting me." Sasuke stepped forward. "He was trying to give you over to murderers to free himself from their wrath. I know that because we killed the Akatsuki member and used his visage to fool Orochimaru into leading us to you. That's not true, Naruto shouted. Orochimaru's cared and loved for me since the day I got here. Sasuke shook his head. Naruto, you know that we're not lying. Deep down you know. How else would we find you? Naruto seemed a little torn. Orochimaru wouldn't do that, right? Would he? Orochimaru looked over to Naruto. Disregard what they're trying to say, Naruto. They're trying to put a wedge between us. They know they can't beat us, so they want to destroy our friendship. Orochimaru offered his hand to Naruto. Come here, Naruto. Let's go. Naruto nodded. Suddenly, the two of them would disappear in a puff of smoke, leaving Sasuke only with a questioning glance. Sasuke fell to his knees. He's gonna get killed, he said, with what could be mistaken as indifference, but in actuality was his fear speaking. Sasuke nearly wanted to panic, but he held his composure. Kakashi helped him up. Come on, Sasuke. We need to get back to Konoha before anyone misses us. The trip back was long and sorrowful. Returning back to Konoha, though, Sasuke immediately would be summoned by Itachi, telling him that the time for their final battle was upon them. And so, as night fell, Sasuke prepared to leave, only to be stopped by Sakura. Sasuke. Sasuke looked back at her. Yeah. She stood there. Are you going to face your brother? Sasuke looked down and away from her. I am. Sakura shook her head. Itachi's too powerful, Sasuke. He managed to kill the entirety of your clan by himself. If you go and fight him, well, you'll be killed too. Sasuke was silent for a moment. When my clan fell, Itachi said he only let me live for one thing, and that was so I could chase after him and take revenge. My life is only here now because he let me live. He stole my honor and killed my clan. I have no choice but to pursue justice, on the honor of my father, my mother, my clan, and for the honor he stole from me that night, I have to go. And what about me, she demanded. You told me that the day I turned 18 you'd marry me. Am I not worth giving that up for? Sasuke turned around. Sakura, there are some things I have to do. I trained all my life for this moment. If I don't face him, I have to face him. I know you're scared, but I have to. I'll never get past this if I don't face him. It's my only choice. Sakura looked down. Then let me go with you. Sasuke walked over to her and pulled her into his arms to kiss her. As they pulled back, he spoke. Sakura, I'm going to come back. I promise. But I need you to let me go. I have to do this, he said. Sakura, without any other recourse, pulled her hands back from his. If you have to do this, then do it. I won't stop you. Just come back. Sasuke kissed her again. I promise. She then let him go. Sasuke would begin his long journey to the long-lost hideout of the Uchiha clan. Upon reaching the building, he cautiously stepped inside. There, he found Itachi sitting there. Did you bring my spare eyes? Itachi asked as he looked up. Sasuke specifically avoided eye contact with him to avoid his Tsukiyomi's reach. Spare eyes? What's wrong with yours? Going blind? Itachi smiled. Indeed they are. My eyes grow dim. I seek the Mangekyo whose light will never go out, and that can only be gained through stealing the Sharingan of your brother. Wait, you mean there's a variant of the Mangekyo Sharingan that will never go blind? Sasuke asked. Itachi nodded. By taking the eyes of a close blood relative, one with the Mangekyo Sharingan can mutate the dojutsu further into the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. And today you volunteered to do that for me. Itachi rose to his feet. Are you ready to feel a whole new world of pain? Itachi and Sasuke would then clash with each other. Elsewhere, Naruto was doing his own thing. Time had passed, and now it seemed that the illness his master possessed would be fatal. Since the death of Kabuto, there was nobody there to minister to him, so Naruto volunteered. He stayed with Orochimaru day and night. One day, though, he entered the room to bring Orochimaru some tea, only for Orochimaru to launch venom at him that, when struck, would paralyze Naruto, leaving him unable to move. Left paralyzed, Naruto watched as Orochimaru exited his bed and made his way over. About halfway there, he took on the form of a large snake. What are you doing, master? I'm planning to take your body, of course, Orochimaru said. What? Naruto asked in confusion. Orochimaru then proceeded to tell him. My body is failing. It's rejecting me. The only option left for me is you. You're the last of my servants available to me that possesses a curse mark with my DNA. I had planned to give you over to the Akatsuki to ease their need to kill me, but now it seems that all I can do is take your body and run for the remainder of the time your body will be left, as I transfer my essence. Naruto was in disbelief. Orochimaru really was planning to kill him, and now Naruto was caught, unable to move. What could he do? Suddenly, he remembered some of the stuff Orochimaru had taught him over the years. He knew that the only way to stop this was to fight him off in his own subconscious, but how could he do that? He then remembered Kurama and began tearing off the seals and opening the gate. Taking his place atop Kurama's back, Naruto wrapped adamantine chains around its neck, torso, and each of its legs. He steered it outwards. As Orochimaru entered his mind, he saw nothing at first and began searching for Naruto. "You can't run forever," he said as he began checking all the various rooms on this mental plane. As he rounded a corner, he saw Naruto and Kurama coming at him and began to flee. Naruto's nine tails was fast though, and as Orochimaru ran, it caught up with him and lifted him into the air with its claw. Naruto spoke. "I thought you were going to accept me for who I was, but now I know you were nothing but a scam. You didn't want me here because I was a misfit, you just wanted to take my body, like Sasuke said. Well, bub, that's not gonna happen. The only one who's about to lose something is you." Orochimaru began to panic. "Let's not be hasty, Naruto. Let's just..." Suddenly, Kurama crushed him. In the real world, Naruto, with his version 2 cloak, would have just killed Orochimaru, leaving his body on the floor. Naruto stood there over the body and let out a sigh. He thought about what Sasuke had said. He decided to send a private correspondence to Kakashi about this, asking what to do now. As it stood, Team 7 were the only friends he really had, so he needed to know what to do about it. Elsewhere, Sasuke and Itachi had already made it to the roof of the hideout. There, they continued to face off against each other. It began to boil down to their Susanoo. Itachi's possessed the Yara Mirror and the Blade of Totsuka. Sasuke managed to form a blade out of Amaterasu and Kagutsuchi. As Sasuke stood there, he began to feel like he had the disadvantage against his brother's attacks, and he did. The Blade of Totsuka would seal up anything Sasuke had learned. He needed to avoid it. Worse still, the Yara Mirror seemed to be blocking everything. Sasuke had no other recourse. He needed increased strength and speed, so he utilized Sage Mode to give him the extra oomph he needed. He had to be fast enough to get around Itachi and strike him. Once he'd gathered enough chakra and began moving, he appeared behind Itachi, but Itachi's speed was something else. However, despite Itachi's speed allowing his Susanoo to be ready to defend itself, Sasuke's attack was filled with Sage Chakra. He pushed his attack forward, and oddly, the Yara Mirror couldn't block the shot. Instead, it cracked. Sasuke came to realize that this thing could absorb any form of chakra that came its way, but it didn't have enough strength to absorb nature energy. So Sasuke began to hedge his bets on Sage Chakra and continued attacking. He managed not only to break through the Yara Mirror, but the whole Susanoo. As Itachi's Susanoo began to fail, Itachi, now bleeding with every breath, having tired himself, he began to walk over to the only pillar that survived their battle and sat down by it. Sasuke, letting his Susanoo go, walked over and knelt down by him. "You're sick, aren't you?" he said. Itachi looked up at him. "Yeah, I'm too tired to finish this battle. But even if I wasn't, I can hardly see anymore. I don't think I'm going to be able to fight back, so just kill me and take your prize." Sasuke shook his head. "No, Itachi." Itachi looked over. "What?" Sasuke sat down beside him. "I don't want a prize. I want justice, but it seems at this moment that I'm not going to need to do anything for it. You're not the same person you used to be." Itachi chuckled. "I can't even remember how I used to be. So much has changed without my consent. At this point, death is a mercy." Sasuke looked over. "What possessed you to destroy our clan? Was it really the need to be the strongest?" Itachi shook his head. Knowing his time was drawing near, he couldn't help but get it all off his chest. "No, I was ordered to by Danzo Shimura. The Uchiha were rebelling against Konoha, and the only recourse was to kill them all. I'd like to say it wasn't Danzo's fault, but I'd be lying. Regardless, the destruction of the Uchiha was for the best. They would have eventually risen up to destroy everything for which so many have fought and died, all because they couldn't see past their own emotions and hubris." Sasuke listened. "Not to cast all the blame on Danzo. It's my fault for killing them in the first place. I just wanted to save Konoha from a war. In the end, the best thing to do was what I did." Itachi looked over at Sasuke. "Listen, I know this makes you want to kill Danzo, but you can't. If you do, not only will it destroy you, but it'll also leave Konoha without a viable Hokage, and it'll eventually lead us to war." Sasuke shook his head. "But how can I look away when he stole our honor?" Itachi looked at Sasuke and smiled. "He stole my honor as well. Or so I would say. In actuality, I gave it up willingly to protect the honor of the village. The same with Shisui, and the same with our parents. The whole clan had to give up their honor to protect the village. Danzo messed up, but think about what's best for the village. In the end, I was the one who killed. Let the dishonor die with me." "But Itachi, if he coerced you into doing it..." Itachi looked to Sasuke. "I know it's bitter, Sasuke, but this is how it has to be. Even if he did evil to us, we can't repay that with evil, or everything for which I fought and suffered will be ruined. Our clan dedicated their lives to serving the village, and they dedicated their deaths in the defense of it. For 3 whole Shinobi World Wars, our clan fought for the safeguarding of the village. That is the Shinobi way. I know you want to avenge me, Sasuke, but at this point, the best you can do is forget about me." The two continued to talk about their situation, how they lived after, and how they got to where they were now. But as they talked and bonded for this last time, Itachi began to reach the end. He let out a long coughing fit from which much hemorrhaging came. Sasuke held him. Itachi looked up at Sasuke. "I'm finished, Sasuke, but I want you to take my eyes. Use them. Don't let the light in your Sharingan go out. Let me see the future you will make with your friends." Sasuke nodded. Itachi smiled. "I'm sorry I never got around to teaching you to become a shinobi, Sasuke." He laid his head against his little brother's chest and listened to his heartbeat. "I'll see you on the other side." And with that, Itachi passed away. Sasuke spent quite some time crying over this, but as a few hours passed, he regained his composure. He remembered what his brother had asked him to do. Sasuke would then proceed to implant Itachi's eyes into his own head to gain the Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. After this, he would utilize his fire release to burn Itachi's body to ashes. He would place the ashes into a small urn and would bring them back with him to Konoha. While there, he found the cemetery where the Uchiha had been interred and would proceed to bury them. He stood there over the grave, looking down upon it. He had planted a headstone that simply said, "In memory of a patriot who saved the world." As he stood there over the grave, a tear began to roll down his cheek. As he looked back on the village, he saw the Hokage monument and looked at each of the faces thereon. Hashirama Senju, Tobirama Senju, Hiruzen Sarutobi, Minato Namikaze, and finally, Danzo Shimura. Sasuke began to think about the way the village had treated the Uchiha and started to boil on it. The way that Danzo had pushed things to the point that they were. Where he had stolen the only Sharingan that could have stopped this from occurring, the fact that he refused any other option. It was as if he craved the destruction of the Uchiha clan. It sickened Sasuke. Personally, he wanted to kill the man, but in his heart, he knew that this is not what Itachi would want. Itachi had made it clear to him that this would invalidate everything he had fought for. Sasuke couldn't bring himself to do that, so he decided to turn a blind eye to Danzo for the good of the village and for the good of the world. But this led to severe contemplation on how it was that he could continue to work as a shinobi of the village that had forced his clan to do what it had. How could he? How could he go on serving the man who had destroyed all that he loved? Sparing the village and its elders was already hard enough, but serving them? That was too much. Itachi couldn't ask him to do that. Sasuke began to leave the cemetery as he thought about these things. As he left, however, it wouldn't take long for Kakashi to find him and tell him that Naruto had reached out. "What did he say?" Sasuke asked. Kakashi looked to Sasuke. "Naruto says he killed Orochimaru and wants to know what to do next." So what do you think will happen in the next video? Be sure to leave a comment and tell us what you think should happen. Make sure you like, subscribe, and ring the bell to receive notifications when more videos like this are released. And while you wait for that, check out these other cool videos. I'm sure you'll enjoy them. Anyway, until next time, peace out.